And what we're dealing with here is that when we do a consumption approach, so Y, which is GDP, is equal to consumption plus investment plus government spending plus net exports, which is given by exports minus imports, right? And so all components of GDP will fall under one of these four categories, right? And so the question is, which major component of GDP can be negative? And so consumption, we'll go down the line. Consumption cannot be negative, right? Consumption is going to occur not just every year, but every day. And so there's no force that makes consumption negative, right? We're only counting positive transactions that increase our consumption count. Same goes for investments. There's no such thing as a negative investment. Maybe from a financial accounting standpoint, you could have negative investments if you're taking away from your inventory. But from a GDP standpoint for an entire country, it's hard to see why investment will be negative. It is basically always positive. Government spending, again, is a positive count. Government will always spend. Keep in mind that this isn't net government spending, so government spending minus tax revenue or anything. It is just how much that government spends, and so expenditure is not going to be negative anyway, and that's not possible. And finally, net exports. And so here we get to a period in which we could have a negative component of GDP, and that's because if we run a trade deficit where our exports are less than our imports, then the greater quantity of imports is going to cause net exports to be negative, basically, and that's going to decrease GDP. And that's something that can happen sometimes. And so we know that it's possible for net exports to be less than imports, or imports to be greater than exports. And if that causes GDP to be negative, then that is going to be not negative. If that causes GDP to decrease, then that would be the answer that we're looking for here. So let's take a look at this answer choice. The answer should be net exports. So let's take a look. So they say more broadly, the GDP of any nation can be seen as the aggregate of its total consumption, total investment, total government spending, and net exports. Out of the above four factors, only net exports, given by exports minus imports, could turn out to be negative when the quantity of imports in a nation overpasses its export quantity. And so that's correct. We can say minor grammatical issues, but correct answer conceptually. And that is going to cover the correct solution.